Hello, YouTube. I'm wearing my sweaty, my hoodie, my hockey hoodie. That means it's comics time. October's comics haul is almost nothing. It is very insignificant in this month. Not insignificant, but just very low on numbers. The reason for this is that, of course, as far as I know, G.I. Joe and Transformers haven't rebooted anything yet. There's no new issues of those two series. So all we've got going on is the Turtles, and I almost dropped it. And there was only one new issue of Turtles waiting for me when I went to the store. Now, the other thing compounding this shortness this month is that I went a little earlier than usual. I didn't go at the beginning of October. I went more late September. So I had a feeling if I had gone this past weekend, I may have had one or two more issues to speak on. But I went a little early, and I didn't feel like revisiting it over the long holiday Thanksgiving weekend. So we're going to wait for November's haul, and it might be a little more plentiful since October's was a little short. So I got two things to review today. First thing is in the realm of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and it is issue 143 of the current ongoing series. In this one, in the last issue, everything was out of whack. Everybody was mad at each other. They were going off doing their own things. There was so much tension. In this issue, everybody has kind of come back together and settled down a little bit, and they're kind of like getting down to business as to, how do we get Mushroom back from Dr. Barlow? What exactly is going on here? Let's figure it out, sort of thing. So there's kind of two different camps. Most of the Turtles and their allies are back at their lair or wherever they are living now. I kind of forget. So many things have burned down and exploded and whatever. I don't know where their headquarters is anymore. But like Mikey, Donnie, Leo, Jenica, and then all their other mutant allies are all at the headquarters. Raphael is off on his own with Alopex. Alopex took a real beating last issue, and so they've kind of made up after their spat over the last number of issues, and he's kind of nursing her back to health, and they're kind of like having a time together where they're forgiving each other and apologizing and that sort of thing. So, but the main group, which are all the Turtles that I mentioned, as well as the two Weasels that didn't get captured, Bludgeon, Koya, Angel, all of those allies, along with the Turtles, and Venus as well. Jenica has to stay home because she hurt herself during the last adventures. Her leg is wonky, so she stays behind. But all of the rest of them mobilize and march on Dr. Barlow's headquarters to try and get at him and end his whatever this little reign of terror is with powering up these mutants with the dragon scales that he's been doing. So they split up into little teams and all split up into the sewers and try and ferret out Dr. Barlow's whereabouts as they try to rescue Mushroom from him. So eventually they do get close to his headquarters, and he has powered himself up with the dragon scales. So he starts using kind of like a telepathic attack on all the Turtles and their allies, kind of turning their own fears and worst nightmares against them. So they're all like living in this like dream world, but it seems real to them. So they're all kind of freaking out, and most of them end up getting captured as they go into this weird state of unreality. Venus is the one who is more powerful enough to fight back against Barlow's power, and she kind of breaks the spell. And I think she's teamed up with Mikey, and as her and Mikey finally reach Dr. Barlow's lair, they kind of peek in at what's happening. All their allies are passed out unconscious on the ground, and I forget who's in there. Leatherhead, Dirtbag, and Woodchuck or Meatchuck or whatever the fuck his name is, and Mushroom's there, of course, and as is Dr. Barlow. So they enter the fray. They try and wake their teammates up. Dr. Barlow, 6 Ground Chuck and Dirtbag on them. Leatherhead also attacks, but Leatherhead tries to fight his conditioning of the dragon scale that Barlow gave him, and actually attempts to aid the Turtles against the pressure that he's feeling from Barlow and the dragon scale to harm them. And while all of this is going on, Dr. Barlow tries to escape with Mushroom in his possession. Now, Venus branches off from the rest of the turtles as they take the fight to Dr. Barlow's allies. And Venus tracks down Dr. Barlow and Mushroom as he's trying to pass through this locked gate. And she confronts him, and they kind of get into a bit of a battle. And Dr. Barlow fights back, and Venus is like, "Oh no, you've managed to do it, haven't you?" And he's like, "Of course I have. I'm a genius." And we don't know what it is yet, as that's kind of where the issue ends, on this bit of a cliffhanger as to just what it is Dr. Barlow has accomplished. So obviously he's made himself OP to some degree, but we're gonna have to wait until issue 144 to find out exactly what that is. Now, the other thing I found comes from the world of Transformers, but it's not anything new that I've been having them collect for me on a monthly basis. It's actually a back issue from the Beast Wars series. So it is actually Transformers Beast Wars source book number 3. So there's 4 of these in total. I got the third one. I just saw it's a nice thick book. It's got a cool image on the front. I love the Beast Wars show. Beast Wars was amazing. One of the original computer animated graphics from back in the day. I think Reboot was the first TV show I remember that went total computer graphics, but Beast Wars was not too far behind it, and it totally rebooted Transformers in a cool and interesting way. You know, giving them these beast forms and taking place so long ago on a primordial planet with dinosaurs and shit. Um, and just it really was a distinct way of creating a new Transformers show, and I just really liked everything about Beast Wars. So I thought, oh, a source book. I'm going to read through this and kind of revisit some of the characters from that show and see what's going on in here. But this was very interesting because 90% of characters in here, I have no idea who they are. So I'm thinking, and this was pretty thick, and it's just one issue of 4 total. So I'm like, maybe this has a little more in depth, because there weren't that many characters on the show to fill 4 of these thickness books, right? So I was going through it, and I'm like, you know what? They must have done some Beast Wars comic series where they kind of fleshed the the world of the Beast Wars out a little more, add more characters, more storylines, that sort of thing. Because there were so many characters in here I didn't know, but it was cool to read about them, see what they looked like, see what their abilities are, and that's all it is. It's basically an encyclopedia on all these different characters that are featured in this book, and of course they all go alphabetically. So I think this one was like, I think it ended on the S's and started on maybe the O's or something like that, or yeah, something like that. So, you know, they broke up all the characters alphabetically into 4 different source books, and I just read through the third one. So I like those sorts of things. When I was a kid, they had a Transformers Universe book, I think it is, that it was the same thing as this. It was just starting with A all the way to Z, or Z, as I have to say, since I am Canadian and I'm tired. A to Z, starting with, I can't remember who was the first, maybe Alpha, no, maybe Alpha Trion, but you know, and then ending with Z. There had to be a Z of there somewhere. I can't think of one off the top of my head, but it was just, you know, a big picture of the character in robot mode, a smaller picture of their alternate mode, and then just kind of a summary on their character, then a section on their abilities and weaponry, and then a section on their kind of weaknesses and that sort of thing. And I ate that shit up as a kid. I just loved reading through each character and reading what they were all about, even though I watched them on the show all the time, and I probably could have told you some of that information at least. It was cool to see it in an actual official kind of book and read through it. And if you look, I still have that book. It's down on my shelf right now. And if you look at it, you can tell, Jesus Christ, that kid read through that book a lot, right? Like I would take it with me everywhere and just read through it and show it to people and stuff like that. I've always liked that kind of stuff. So when I saw this source book on in the bin of back issues, I was like, yep, you're coming home with me. Now if only I could find a woman to come home with me. But that's a whole different video series. We won't even go there. Meow.